On behalf of the Union of Student Faculty and Staff,
I want to thank the Union's International Committee, who did the work to organize this important demonstration. We are here together today. On a solemn day. August 16th. Is the anniversary of the worst use of state violence. In South Africa. Since 1960. The ANC government and its police led to the death of 34 brave miners who were on strike at the Lonmin mine in Marikana, South Africa. And today, August 16th, there are demonstrations all over the world. In solidarity with the memory of those strikers. And in an effort to support working people and their struggles everywhere. That's why we as a union and our friends and allies are gathered today. First is Jackie DeSalvo, CUNY professor, reading a message from Trevor Nagrani.
A letter from Trevor Nagrani. One must understand the background to the Marikana Massacre. It involved a shift of the ANC government from pro-poor economic policies to those that favor the capitalist class. Marikana showed the collusion between state and big capital in maintaining an unjust social order. The coincidence of race and class means black people continue to bear the brunt of poverty, unemployment, social degradation, etc. But there is a lot of dissatisfaction. And protests by communities, labor, and youth. As the ANC loses support, there are new political formations, such as the Economic Freedom Front, born at the same time as the Marikana Massacre. Its leader was expelled for espousing redistributive policies and calling for nationalization of the mines. The largest union in South Africa, the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa, was also expelled for opposing the government and the alliance of the ANC the South African Communist Party and the Congress of South African Trade Unions. They have gone on to build a front against neoliberal policies and are talking about starting a worker class party. The last thing I want to tell people, is that the United Front and the Democratic Left Front, which Nagrani formed, in an extraordinary act of international solidarity, led a march on the U.S. Consulate, protesting police brutality in the U.S. and the murders of African Americans like Michael Brown and Eric Garner. Their statement says, we support all the world's oppressed and exploited. We oppose the criminalization of poverty, the militarization of the police, and the violent imposition of an unjust capitalist order on the masses.
We are very fortunate to have with us today the Reverend Herbert Daughtry.
I am honored to be here on this the second anniversary of the killing of the miners in Marikana. It seems strange being at this consulate that I've been here many times before. How many times that we have screamed, free Mandela, free South Africa. How many times we have gone to jail from this particular site. I remember all my family. My wife, 4 children, all went to jail to free South Africa, to free Mandela. And now to stand here, having freed Mandela, and we thought having freed South Africa, now stand here, and remember miners who are trying to work, trying to make a living, were killed, were slaughtered by our South African government, at least the South African government, who knew what was happening. It is hard to believe, after having struggled all these years, what we thought was a free South Africa, the miners in South Africa, Soweto of South Africa, would be free, and there would be economic parity of some sort. Better living condition, better health conditions. I'm sad to say, as others have said,
they still have capital.
Question. How much progress has been made?
I'd like to ask a young activist in Ferguson who has been active against police brutality, Glen Johnson, to please come up and say a few words about his experience and his ideas about the struggle.
Worldwide, are under attack. But as we see, in Marikana, South Africa, and in Ferguson, we must call out this system that is oppressing them everywhere. The name of that system is called capitalism. A system that exploits workers, alienates workers, and murderous workers. Marikana and Ferguson is showing us what it means for workers to fight back. So we must follow their lead right here, right now, and call for the elimination and the destruction of this system that exploits us and it oppresses us every day. And we cannot be afraid to call that system what it is. Capitalism that uses those police in Ferguson, in New York, in Chicago, in South Africa, in Palestine, and everywhere to murder us. So we must fight back right now. Amanla Awetu.
So here to speak is Professor Manny Ness.
Thank you, everybody. I'd like to thank the union, the Professional Staff Congress.
I'd like to thank the union.
I'll try to speak loud. I'd like to thank the Professional Staff Congress.
I'd like to thank the Professional Staff Congress,
especially the International Committee, for supporting this rally, which is of great meaning to working people throughout the world. Right now, the majority of exploited people who are working are in places like South Africa, South Asia, and throughout the world. We need to support them. What happened in Marikana is not a tragedy, it is a massacre. 34 lives of innocent mine workers were taken on one day, this day, 3 years ago, because they stood their ground on the Kapi, on the mountain. These were unarmed workers. We are here to provide dignity and remembrance to these workers. And we support their efforts to fight for dignity in their own lives. For an Africa that is free of Eurocentrism. For a South Africa that defends workers. In Marikana, those workers gave up their lives. And they built and expanded a new workers' movement. Last year, more than 100,000 workers in South Africa went on strike. Okay. This is a strike for the dignity and the rights of workers. They had that right just like workers in this country have. And they are going to expand, we hope, into something that will lead to freedom. Nelson Mandela said in 1996 that reconciliation does not end by remembering and forgetting. And I think we need to remember that moment that took place on the 16th of August 2012, 3 years ago.